We are counting down 10 prison escapes so audacious they sound like fiction, except everyone actually happened. From stolen master keys and hijacked helicopters to mile-long tunnels carved beneath Supermax floors, these breakouts exposed fatal cracks in the world's most secure facilities. Each entry gets bolder, more impossible, and more deadly. Starting at number 10, where one inmate turned a jail's own plumbing shaft into a 5-story ladder to freedom. In 10th place, Jose Espinosa vanished from a New Jersey jail's most secure block, 20 hours before anyone noticed. He and Otis Blunt hammered through cinder block walls using a stolen steel valve wheel. They flushed the debris down the toilet and hid the hole behind pin-up photos taped to the wall. The pair squeezed into a narrow crawl space, base, slipped onto the 3rd-story roof, then dropped over a 25-foot razor wire fence. Espinosa injured his ankle, but limped into the night. Guards counted bed sheets stuffed to look like sleeping bodies and missed the escape for nearly a full day. Espinosa left a mocking thank you note for a guard, then hid just blocks away, evading capture for weeks. The escape triggered a wave of suspensions and firings, and a damning report that called the jail miserable and dysfunctional. It was one inmate, a single tool, and a blind spot in routine, proof that even the tightest security can collapse under its own neglect. Number 9. Saint-Gilles prison in Brussels turned chaos into legend when, in broad daylight, 3 inmates slipped away from its aging stone walls. No alarms, no violence, just a sudden absence and a trail of unanswered questions. The escape, captured only in a grainy archive photo, left authorities scrambling for answers. How did they breach security so quietly? The shock rippled through Belgium's justice system. In a country where escapes are technically not even a crime, the event exposed just how thin the line is between order and opportunity. With no official reports, no dramatic recaptures, and no clear method revealed, the Saint-Gilles trio forced an uncomfortable reckoning. Even the oldest prisons can be undone by a single, silent lapse. In the end, it wasn't brute force or outside help, it was the system's own complacency that opened the door. In 8th place, Alfred Hines turned British lockups into his personal stage, escaping not once, but 3 times, each more improbable than the last. First, he slipped his handcuffs in a packed courtroom, picked the lock with a smuggled sliver of metal, and vanished before the guards could react. Later, he scaled the walls of Nottingham Prison in broad daylight, using nothing but nerves and a quick mind for weak spots in the perimeter. His most infamous feat came inside a police van where he picked the transport lock mid-ride and simply walked away as officers stared in disbelief. Hines spent months planning each move, studying locks and routines until he could slip past steel and stone like a ghost. He was recaptured every time, and he never used violence, just pure mechanical genius and a gambler's cool. In the end, Hines exposed the flaw in every fortress. A good lock is only as strong as the man who can't pick it. Number 7. Morgan County Jail. Turned into a war zone when inmates attacked a deputy in cold blood, shooting and beating him before stealing his patrol car right out from under the sirens. The plan was not subtle. It was violence at point-blank range, a calculated gamble on a gap in staffing, and a moment of inattention. Once behind the wheel, the fugitives tore off on a 150-mile chase across state lines, leaving law enforcement scrambling to catch up. The escape ended with a high-speed takedown, but not before the entire region was locked down in fear. This was not a clever trick or a quiet slip through the cracks. It was raw desperation, brute force, and a reminder that even the best security means nothing when a guard goes down. In the end, the only thing more dangerous than a locked door is the moment it is kicked open. Number 6. 7 inmates from the John B. Connolly unit in Texas staged a breakout so violent it left a police officer dead before they even cleared the fence. On December 13, 2000, The group lured Officer Aubrey Hawkins into an ambush during a Christmas Eve robbery. They stole his gun, his life, and the uniforms they needed to walk out undetected. Armed with stolen tools and a maintenance truck, they cut through doors, posed as guards, and vanished into the night, sparking one of the largest manhunts in U.S. history. For 6 weeks, the Texas Seven crisscrossed the country, robbing and hiding until a dramatic standoff ended the spree. 6 were recaptured alive. All but 1 have since been executed. Their escape turned a prison break into a blood-soaked crime wave, a grim reminder that when desperation meets opportunity, the cost can be deadly. Number 5. Pascal Payette turned the sky into his escape route, not once but twice. In July 2001, a hijacked Alouette 2 helicopter hovered over the roof of Louinez prison in southern France. Accomplices forced the pilot to land in the exercise yard. Within 2 minutes, Payette was clipped to a rope ladder and airlifted out, leaving guards stunned and powerless. 6 years later, after being recaptured and moved to Grasse prison, Payette's team struck again. This time, a stolen Eurocopter swooped in, landing with surgical precision on the roof. The pilot, again under threat, whisked Payette and fellow inmates straight over the walls. Both escapes exposed a critical blind spot, vertical vulnerability. No nets, no alarms, just open airspace. Payette was finally caught in Spain in 2008, but his aerial breakouts forced prisons worldwide to look up and rethink what it really means to be escape-proof. Number 4. The Maze prison in Northern Ireland exploded into chaos on September 25, 1983, when 38 IRA inmates pulled off the largest prison break in UK history. Armed with handguns smuggled past security, the prisoners seized control of H Block 7 in a coordinated blitz, overpowering staff and taking several guards hostage. The escapees forced a food delivery truck into the compound, threatened officers with a fake bomb, and rammed the vehicle through the main gate while alarms blared. 19 guards were injured in the melee, and 1 would later die from his wounds. The operation lasted less than an hour, yet its impact echoed for decades. This was not just a bid for freedom, but a political act of war, exposing how ideology can turn a prison's own routines into its greatest vulnerability. Coming to the top 3, Alcatraz's most infamous night began with a set of lifelike dummy heads, painted eyes, real hair, and a cold stare that fooled guards during every bed check. For 6 months, Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers chipped away at cell vents with spoons and a homemade drill, hiding the dust behind cardboard and the holes behind a wall of silence. When the vents were wide enough, they crawled into a utility corridor, climbed to the roof, and disappeared into the freezing black water of San Francisco Bay on a raft sewn from 14 stolen raincoats. On June 11, 1962, the beds looked occupied, the cells seemed untouched, and the world's most escape-proof prison had just been outwitted by patience and scraps. No bodies, no arrests, just a trail of rumors and a letter decades later. Proof that even the strongest fortress can be undone by quiet genius and relentless will. Number 2. Stalag Luft 3, where 600 Allied prisoners of war built a secret subway under the Nazis' noses. The plan was simple. 3 tunnels, nicknamed Tom, Dick, and Harry, each 8 meters deep and lined with stolen bedboards, stretching over 100 meters toward the forest beyond the wire. Prisoners worked in shifts, moving sand in handmade pouches hidden in their trousers, pumping air with bellows, and wiring up flashlights with batteries scavenged from old radios. At night, rail trolleys rattled down wooden tracks as forged documents and civilian clothes piled up, ready for the dash to freedom. On March 24, 1944, 76 men crawled through the tunnel's cramped shaft and vanished into the snow. But the price was brutal. 73 were recaptured and 50 were executed by the Gestapo. The Great Escape stands as a monument to engineering ingenuity, but also to the deadly cost of hope when ingenuity dares to defy a regime. And finally, in first place, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman vanished from Mexico's most secure prison through a tunnel that defies belief. Beneath the Altiplano Supermax, engineers spent 16 months carving a 1.5-kilometer passage tall enough to stand in, lit by bulbs, pumped with fresh air, and rigged with a motorcycle on rails for a 10-minute getaway. The entry was a hole hacked into the shower floor, hidden from every camera. The exit was an unfinished house in a quiet neighborhood, stocked with tools, gasoline, and oxygen tanks. No alarms, no real-time detection. By the time guards noticed, Guzman was already gone, leaving behind a system humiliated on the world stage. 6 months later, he was recaptured, then extradited to the United States. But for one night, money and engineering turned a fortress into a mere suggestion of security. Across every escape, one pattern cuts through the concrete. The system cracks under pressure, but human ingenuity never does. Walls grow higher, locks get smarter, yet the desperate find a way. In the shadows of every prison, the next impossible blueprint is already being drawn. Stay vigilant.